Hi, I'm Marcus Trice, and I'm going to be doing a video, another video for FTT 2016586, firearms finishes and engraving. And the reason why I'm doing a video is I feel like when you're talking about engraving and finishes, to me, it's better to kind of actually visually show it and show what I'm actually talking about. So it says in here, review the content of the modern firearms finishes in chapter 4 and 5, as well as supplemental content provided for this week's instruction. And I really enjoyed the supplemental instruction, very interesting. It may be helpful to seek out other examples of firearms that have been finished with Duracoat, Cerakote, and hydrographics. You know, I have to be honest, I have never seen or come across a gun that has been treated with hydrographics. And how can you visually identify the modern firearm finish from another? And so I have some examples that I have, and I wanted to show what the different, when you're looking at them, and I think that's part of the response, explain at least 4 visual characteristics that the firearm professionals can use to identify a particular modern finish. These characteristics can span the spectrum of finishes or focus on a single one. So what I wanted to do is show, I just want to pull up something in here. All right, so I have 4 firearms, and none of them are loaded. They're all pointed in a safe direction, and I actually have 1 lower receiver. So I guess I'll talk about the lower receiver first. This is a Palmetto State. It's their KS-47. It has not been built yet, but this is aluminum and it's been anodized. And so the way that you can tell it's been anodized, well, you can tell it's aluminum because it's very light, but it's the finish on it that is a giveaway. It's very flat, no kind of gloss to it. It almost looks like it's part of the metal, and when you put oil on it, it's kind of porous. So this is anodized aluminum that's through a with a dye, so it makes it black. All right. The next one, believe it or not, this is an old little Beretta. All right, the model 950 BS in 25 caliber, and this is an old school Browning method, and you can tell because of the brown color to it. So it's like an old, it's a slow rusted method of browning a firearm, and you can just tell by it, looking at it. Some of the metal is kind of showing through a little bit just because of the age, but it has this brown, almost dull finish to it. All right. Now the next one, you step up from that, and this would be blue, a gun that's being blued. And this is a Smith & Wesson 1911. And what's interesting about this is that it has, on the slides, it's being polished, and then on the frame and on the top, it has been media blasted or bead blasted to give a satin look. But when you polish steel and you get a high polish and then you blue it, you get a shiny blue. It's almost reflective, and it has this rich blue to maybe even indigo blue color, and that's the giveaway to the slide being blued. And actually, I believe that the frame. I don't believe that the frame. Maybe the frame is blued, but you can. I don't know if you can see it and catch the light, but it's being blued. So it's almost like you're looking at steel with a thin blue layer on top of it. So that's how you can tell it's being blued. Now I have another one on here. Now I don't have any guns that are Duracoated, but I do have this CZ 82, and this is probably very similar to a Duracoat. It's a coating, and I actually had to go on to marylandshooters.com to kind of get an idea of what it is and what it's called. It's a thermoset polymer coating. So it's similar. You know, it's a coating that you would apply and then thermoset it, or you'd heat it, and you get this. Almost looks like it's painted. It looks like a painted firearm with a gloss on it, and it's very resistant. It's also very slick. So it's slick. It looks like paint, kind of shiny. It doesn't have the depth to it that a bluing would or a browning would. It almost covers, conceals the metal. All right, so the next one here, this is another old Beretta. Now, this is not original. I did not do this. I would never have done this to this poor Beretta. But anyway, it's a 1914 Beretta, and this one was made in 1952. It was originally blued, but somebody decided to plate it. And so the way that you can tell plating, especially on an older gun, and this one's, if you can catch it on here, but you can see where some of the plating has worn off on the back here, and it looks like you see the metal, but it looks like you have this mirrored, shiny coating on it that looks like it's part of the metal. But you know it's not metal that's being polished, because polished metal has a certain color. But when you've plated it, nickel plated it, the nickel has a certain color, and that is the color that comes through with this nickel plating on here. I'm assuming this particular firearm was in rough shape. Somebody stripped it down and then nickel plated it. So you have the different types there. So we have a painted firearm, or like a coated firearm, and then we have the bluing, which is totally different than a coating, and then we also have a browning, which is similar to a bluing, but two different types. Then we have the nickel plating, and then we also have an anodizing. So again, you can look at all of these, and your average person will have a hard time telling what a particular finish is on a gun. But somebody that is knowledgeable with firearms can look at a firearm and say, definitely painted because of the texture, the sheen, the look of it. So that's basically, when you're looking at a firearm, you're looking at those characteristics. You're looking at the color of it, you're looking at the sheen of it, you're looking at even also if it's translucent. So like when you're looking at a coated firearm, it doesn't look translucent. It's not like you can see the actual metal. It looks like there's a layer, a coating on top of the firearm, versus a blued firearm where it's the actual metal. The process is on the metal. It's affected the metal, so it's not covering the metal. And the same thing with the nickel. It is actually you're covering. It's a small layer that's covering the metal, but because it's such a thin layer, you can actually still see some of the characteristics of the metal. And then also with the slow rusting, the browning on here, it's such a slight effect on the actual metal surface, so it's not a covering of the metal surface. Now, the anodizing again is not a covering, so to speak. It's almost like a penetration and dyeing of the surface of this aluminum. So it's not a coating that covers it. So that is my explanation for different types of coatings. There are other ones that I could show, but I think it would be too much, like parkerizing and black oxidizing. So thank you very much.